All right. So, I think I got at least two gun videos coming. This one and another one I haven't posted. I was going to post it a while ago, but I just didn't get around to posting it. But I've been watching, all these things going on in the gun community, and I haven't put out a video in a while, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I need to put out a video because there aren't a lot of black voices in the gun community, African American voices in the gun community. You got Hank Strange, you got Coleon Noir, and that's really all I can think of off the top of my head. I know there's somebody else that I'm missing. Jay Mills speaks. You got him. And that's basically about it. So I'm gonna give my commentary on some of the things that I've been seeing and about gun control and things that just irritate me or don't make sense. First thing is like media coverage, and I am gonna talk about some of the racial stuff that goes on that nobody wants to talk about. A lot of the xenophobia that goes on, which is really why America has the gun culture that it has, and places like Australia don't have the gun culture that they have. They don't have the same history. There isn't the same racial tensions. There isn't the same, discrimination, disenfranchisement of a particular group of people. What makes up Australia, right? Ex-British white people and, Asians and whatnot. But if you ask me, I think a lot of their questions about gun control and tearing down elements of the gun control in Australia has a great deal to do with, the xenophobia about the Muslims that are in Australia. Not deranged white guys shooting the place up. But then you have the flip side argument where you have people who want to ensure that Muslims do not have access to firearms. So they feel that them keeping themselves safe is to ensure that the Muslims don't have easy access to firearms because, they're not one of us. They're not Australians like us. They're not into identifying with Australia. They, keep to themselves and keep to their own group. Where with African Americans don't know any other culture than American culture. The only difference of why African American culture is, I don't want to say profoundly different from white folks, but greatly different, is because of the socioeconomic, chasm, that is between the groups. You're not going to have people who don't have resources think and operate and behave the same as people who do have resources. People who don't are going to come up with their own culture to redefine their lives and redefine what success is and redefine, all aspects of their life so that they can, basically cope and deal, with their socioeconomic political condition. That's basically what black people have done. But when I look at the media, right, and I see when I see the media and they cover, whenever I get into it with white folks about, cops, and this is how there's racial bullshit going on. Now, I'm not saying every white person is like this, but a lot of white people are like this. When they see black people, with Black Lives Matter, which is not the movement that I'm the biggest fan of. I think it's symbolic. I don't think it really does or address anything. But I noticed that a lot of white people, when you're talking about police brutality, a lot of white people act like you're talking about their brother or something. They act like they take it so personal. That's how much they identify with the enforcement arm. And like I said, it's not until these white boys end up with a tactical knee on the back of their neck, or they're running around screaming, "Don't tase me, bro! Don't tase me!" That they realize that police brutality affects everybody. But what I notice is, here's the line. Not all cops are bad, is what'll be said. The media is promoting all these images, making all these cops, look bad. Which I agree, the media does do that. But I also agree with the point that, white police officers have a really bad track record of shooting unarmed black men. Okay? But I don't disagree with the fact that the media is making the police officers, intentionally look bad. But the funny thing is when we go over to gun control, well, isn't the media doing the same thing with the vast majority of American gun owners? They try to make, a white boy shoots up a school. Now that suddenly applies to, all the, gun owners in America and the 300 million guns that didn't kill anybody that day. The vast majority of which didn't kill anybody that day. Or if they did kill somebody, it was justifiably. I always question, the media never covers any of these situations where somebody actually protects themselves with a firearm. You never see that in the news. You never see any of it. Woman was assaulted, by two men and shot both of them and she saved herself. You never hear. It's not that it doesn't go on, because I get the NRA alerts. If you got the NRA app on your cell phone, you get the NRA alerts and the NRA covers it, but the mainstream media doesn't cover it, right? So it's funny how people will point to, well, it's not all cops and ain't all cops are bad and whatnot. But then, when we go over to, the gun control, it's like people can't see, like that, that the media has the same type of, just blanket statement, everybody. You see what I'm saying? What's the other thing I want to point out? There's another thing that I wanted to point out. Talked about the xenophobia, and there was another thing that I wanted to point out. You know what? I take that back. I guess people do see the connection, or they do see those two things going on, but they don't make the connection. They don't make a direct connection between those two things. It's not all police officers, just like it's not all gun owners. And I guess that would be directed to the people who would be anti-gun. Well, if it's not all police officers, then it's not all gun owners. I remember what I was going to say. The other thing is, when we talk about police brutality, should police officers not be held to a higher standard? I think they should be held to a higher standard. Absolutely, they should be held to a higher standard than the average citizen. The contradiction is that, like, say, for example, me carrying concealed in New Jersey, which I currently do not have the right nor the privilege to carry concealed in New Jersey. And the argument by the anti-gunners will be that I'm not qualified to carry concealed in New Jersey. I don't have the discipline or the training to carry in New Jersey, right? That'll be the argument. But yet when we get to situations of police brutality, you know what people jump up and say? Well, these officers, he's a human being. He's a human being. Now all of a sudden they're human beings. They go from being super cop, super trained individuals, to now they're human beings when they fuck up. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, well, why isn't that same human being standard applied to why I should be able to carry concealed in the state of New Jersey? You see what I'm saying? Right? Does it make any sense to y'all? If you're going to hold police officers to a higher standard, then they need to be consistently held to a higher standard, even when they screw up. Right? Because the very argument of why, I should not be able to carry concealed in the state of New Jersey is because I can't live up to that higher standard of a police officer because I don't have the training. But then as soon as the police officers screw up, then people want to reduce them down to my level, which is the untrained, I shouldn't be able to have a concealed carry permit level, and then argue that they're all just human beings and that they make mistakes too. Right? Which is a true statement, but I'm saying it's a cop-out, pun intended, when, police officers can just get away with, murder, basically. When a homicide is justifiable and is, the guy was a criminal, he was fleeing, the cop shoots, he shoots back, or the criminal shoots and the cop shoots back, we get that. We understand that. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But when you get, white police officers rolling up with their, prejudices and acting upon their prejudices, which usually escalates the situation from the angle of the police officer towards the person being pulled over, then, you gotta sit there and question it instead of just saying, oh well, the cop did his job and that's it, case closed, and there's no trial, there's no nothing. That's what black people get mad about. That's what black people go out there and tear the streets up about. It clearly just says no fucks are given. Just no fucks are given. You got to watch that South Carolina video, that black man, running away from the police officer. And the police officer, he just casually and calmly pulls out his gun, lines up his sights, and shoots the guy in the back 8 times. No one in their right mind can tell me that was justifiable. Yeah, the guy was, an idiot, and, he didn't have his registration or some shit like that, or didn't have his paperwork. Oh, I don't want to get caught, so I hop out the car and I start running, and knowing damn well, like, dude, they got your tags. Like, where are you going? But still, like, just total disregard, for black lives. Clearly, just total disregard. And it's like you already got the issue of the disenfranchisement, the drugs coming in the community that black people didn't put there. Black people don't manufacture those drugs, right? So you got the economic distress, you got the drug distress, which creates the crime and the violence and people fighting over turf and things like that, right? So we already got all these internal problems. Then here comes white society with a big bucket of salt on our hemorrhaging wound and just dumps the salt on there with no fucks given. And then they can't understand why black people get so violently, upset. It's just like we already got problems that have been created and fueled by outside forces, and then it's just the we're just gonna piss on y'all. We just gonna piss on y'all even more, and then people can't understand why, black people get so upset. Like I said, people want to act like black people aren't upset about the inner city violence. They are upset about the inner city violence. But a lot of people look at it, there's not much that they can do about it. They're not going to live there if they got a decent job or whatever. They're not going to raise their kids in that environment. That's why you see these black people, in the suburbs. And all of that is based on money and economics and whatnot, Where are your upper middle class white people? How come they're not living around the white people who live in the trailer parks with crystal meth and methamphetamine and stuff? How come they ain't down there, in Kentucky where they're doing prescription drugs like crazy? How come they don't move down there? 1, because there's no opportunities down there, and 2, they don't want their families being subject to an environment of, people who are in that type of situation, because the whole way they think and operate is going to be completely different, right? So this happens even internally within the white community. But yet when black people, do it, white people try to make this type of, connection to, these behaviors and blackness. They try to make this connection between blackness and a pathology. And it's very annoying and intellectually dishonest, at best, But I'm thinking that's all I got to say. That's all I wanted to get off my mind today. Just how people don't think about, they don't make the connection between, it's not everybody. Oh, it's not all of them and everything. It's like, how, here's another one. How come, like, when black people commit some crimes and they see some foul stuff in the media, how come white people don't go, oh, it's not all of them. Oh, it's not all of them, just like they do with the cops when the cops fuck up. Oh, it's not all, cops, right? They so quick to jump up and say that, but then let a black man knock over a convenience store and everything. Oh, that's how them niggers do. Oh, that's how them niggers do. Say, we told you that's how them niggers are. We told you that's why we need to send them back to Africa. Yeah, it's insane. But again, white cops fuck up. White boys is out there with the fucking capes, just swooshing past you with their Superman capes to rescue, the white officer who screwed up royally. Some of the stuff is just indefendable. And yet white people will come out and defend it. I'm like, are you defending the cop or are you defending whiteness? I can't tell, but... people don't want to, especially white people, they get real uncomfortable with really having an honest dialogue about these things. You know, they want to act like black people are just making stuff up or super paranoid about it. I'm like, nah, this goes on. You know,